Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Songs that made the hit parade.
Guys like us, we had it made.
Those were the days.
The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
God is a solution. God, the 12 step.
I like where he's going here.
Helps the community grow, helps us grow. Monty has done a phenomenal job, and you're talking about taking people through a spiritual process and getting them into recovery.
Thanks, Monty, and thanks for all your support.
We need spirituality to make this thing work long term.
It's an absolute pleasure. He certainly knows a lot of people.
This is one of the places that is about the business of the solution.
And now, broadcasting on location somewhere in the vast expanse of the Pacific Northwest, it's the over-opinionated 12-stepologist, the Monty'man.
Indeed. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, Scooby-Dooby-Dah. Well, welcome aboard, one and all, to another fine episode of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, broadcasting to you and for you from the outskirts of beautiful downtown Albany, Oregon. Roger McDermott is with us as always. There he is.
Hello, hello.
Interesting little ditty at the beginning of the show. Kind of fits our topic. Can we agree to disagree? I'm not so sure we can. Maybe we can. I don't know. We're going to talk about that. But that was Archie Bunker and Gene Stapleton singing that iconic song, which was the opening song to All in the Family. Interestingly enough, now, okay, so let me back up a little bit. So that television show portrayed a ultra-conservative viewpoint from Archie and many of his friends that were in the show, and then there were others that were opposed to him as well. Gene Stapleton just kind of went along for the ride and wasn't sure which way was up. But interestingly enough, Rob Reiner, who played Meathead, comes from a very different point of view, at least these days. So it's kind of an interesting take. But I'll tell you what, I really wonder how long All in the Family would be on the air if it was brand new today. Wouldn't you, Roger? Maybe not so long.
I don't know that it would. It would be interesting to see. I don't know that it would be popular.
If it even would make it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would make it to the air.
But yeah, I intentionally did not play the whole song because we might lose half of our audience. And I don't want to do that until at least the end of the show. Oh, my goodness. All right. So we're going to have some fun today with the topic, can we agree to disagree?
Stop right there!
Yeah.
Because it's time for the Monty'man's Weekly Whine, where he whimpers and whines and complains about things he has no power over.
It's all right. You're safe now.
Yeah. Yes, indeedy. All right. What kind of neighborhood do you live in, Roger? Is it pretty friendly? Do you know your neighbors?
Very friendly, yeah. The neighborhood I live in is marvelous, yeah.
Yeah. Do you live on a corner or in between two homes? Or
I live in between two homes, 5 houses down from a corner and directly across another street. So I'm at a T, but 5 houses down from another street and from a community park and school.
Okay. Ever have any issues with people blocking your driveway?
Not blocking it, but because there's a school just 5 houses up, they frequently park on the streets in front of homes, which
sure,
I mean, they need to park on the street to pick up their kids and stuff. So no one's ever, that I can recall, no one's ever actually blocked my driveway.
Well, so my weekly whine this week is, somebody blocking your driveway, and I'm not talking about their bumper sticking out a little bit in it. I'm talking about literally blocking it to where you cannot maneuver your car out. That happens to people on occasion. And I think you have, if it happens repeatedly and you've asked your neighbor, please don't do that, I think that's an issue. There's actually a city ordinance in Oregon, or a state ordinance in Oregon that makes it illegal to block your driveway. I mean, you as the homeowner can't even block your driveway, which is interesting to me because you can, yeah. So you can park in your driveway, but you can't block it and park on a public street and block your driveway. Now, I think, I'm not sure. I think the reason is for the purpose of emergency vehicles being able to get to your home. But wouldn't they still have the same problem if you were in your driveway getting into your home?
Well, my driveway is always full. And sometimes when someone could be, I mean, there's 3 cars parked in my driveway all the time. And sometimes, so just for a short period, I'll pull up and double park behind them because if they need to leave, I'll move my car. But
right.
That doesn't make any sense to me at all because they couldn't get my driveway anyway, regardless of whether I was parked there or not.
Yeah. So you can actually get a ticket for blocking your driveway, your own driveway.
Maybe in Oregon. I'm not sure about California.
I don't think it happens too often that they're actually enforcing that law, but that's not really the issue I wanted to whine about. What I wanted to whine about is something that I probably don't have any right to whine about. It just irritates me. And I like to talk about things that irritate me. That's people parking in front of my house. Now, it's a public street. They have every right to park in front of my house. I don't own that spot, right? But I just think it's rude. I mean, if the street is full, I get it. If there's a party going on or there's an event or whatever, like you're close to a school. But when there's plenty of room to park in front of your own house, why are you parking in front of my house, blocking the sidewalk that leads up to my front door? I don't get that. Park in front of your own house, man. Come on, dude. I mean, what do you think, Roger? Am I just blowing in the wind here?
No, I think everybody has that same feeling. If there's plenty of parking places on the street, why would someone choose to park in front of someone's home? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
And I'm sensitive about my neighbor across the street, and I rarely, if ever, park in front of his house, and he never parks in front of mine. And it's just, in fact, all the neighbors are that way. It just doesn't happen. Yeah,
it's just common courtesy.
Right.
I think. Yeah. So not a big whine today, just a little itty bitty one. I want to follow it up with something though. Our good friend, particularly your good friend, this is not a whine. This is like a little bit of a celebration. We're going to try. Let's see here. Let me see if I can cue up the soundbite. There it is.
Now for something really wild. The Take 12 Recovery Radio Random Surprise Phone Call.
One more time. Yeah, I don't know why I had supercalifragilisticexpialidocious on there. By the way, backwards, that's docious al exprifragicalorupus, just for the sake of... Couldn't pass English in school, but knew how to say that backwards. Okay, Mickey Bush. It is his birthday today.
It was actually yesterday, Monty, but
was it yesterday?
It was yesterday.
You told me it was on Monday.
I know I did. I'm mistaken. You can tar and feather me.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, we're going to try and call him. We may not reach him. We'll see, right? I have plans to doing some more surprise phone calls in the future. So this is not set up ahead of time, listeners. It really, truly isn't. We are going to try and call him. Let's see here. Dialing his number now. Now, for you, those of you who don't know, he is the king of, what do you call those things?
Acronyms.
Acronyms.
AA acronyms. He's actually the guest speaker too, or the prime speaker at the Miracle at the River, which is the 35th anniversary of Lake Havasu City AA convention.
Yeah. Okay. There's a ring.
Please leave your message for 310.
Okay, so we want to cut that that phone number short there. All right. Well, we're gonna do this little ditty anyway. I think Cecil's got something for Mickey, and when he listens to this show, he can enjoy it. Hello, Cecil. There we go. Hey, Mickey.
Hey, Mickey.
Now, Mickey, this is Cecil from Take 12 Recovery Radio. And the Monty'man and Roger McDermott told me that it's your birthday. So I have a little ditty for you. And it goes something like this.
Yes, it does.
1, 2, 3. Say it's your birthday.
Bum, bum, bum.
Happy birthday to ya.
Happy birthday, Mickey.
Say it's your birthday. You're gonna have a good time.
With the new air conditioner.
I'm glad it's your birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday, Mickey B. Happy birthday, Mickey B. Happy birthday, Mickey B. Woohoo!
There we go. Cecil stayed up all night, Mickey, preparing that just for you. Listen, I would encourage you, listeners, if you really want to sit down and just enjoy a speaker tape or a speaker YouTube or whatever you want to call it on the internet today, Google Mickey Bush AA speaking or AA speaker or Mickey B AA speaker. You're going to find it everywhere. And get ready. You're either going to love him or you're going to, well, yeah.
Yep. You
guy,
will not. Yeah, he will entertain you and also
yes, he will.
Give you great insights. Yeah.
So happy birthday, Mickey. We wish you the best. I'm sorry we couldn't get a hold of you. Maybe we'll try again next week and give you a belated one. Belated? Is that the word? Belated?
Yes, that is the word.
See, that's one of those words again that you say it too many times.
Belated. Yes, you're having a lot of those issues lately, Monty.
Belated.
Belated.
Like canopy.
In other words, after the fact.
After the fact. All right, we'll be back right after this with the topic. Can we agree to disagree? Don't go away.
Do you ever feel stuck in your recovery? I mean, we all have felt stagnant from time to time. I'd like to introduce you to the book, 12 Essential Insights for Emotional Sobriety, Getting Your Recovery Unstuck, by our good friend and recovery author, Dr. Alan Berger. Dr. Berger has helped to change the lives of thousands of individuals with his work on emotional sobriety, paving a new path to recovery for both the addict and their families. For your autographed copy of 12 Essential Insights for Emotional Sobriety, visit abphd.com. This book is also available on Amazon.
Papa's in the icebox looking for a can of ale. Papa's in the icebox looking for a can of ale. Mama's in the backyard learning how to drive and wheel. Oh, you gotta jump, jive.
This is Justin White, and you are listening to the recovery talk and positive music of Take 12 Recovery Radio.
You gotta jump, jive, then you will. You gotta jump, jive, then you will.
Oh, man. Love it. Louis Prima. Jump, jive, and wail, baby. Yes, indeedy. Gollies, the days when music was music. Where did they go? Where'd they go, Roger?
Are you suggesting that we don't have music as music today?
I'm not real fond of the stuff that's coming out of studios currently. We have lots of great music in the archives, but I don't know. There's just, there is some stuff today that I enjoy. But we're inundated with synthesizers and
yeah.
What do you call that stuff where they change your voice and all? I don't know. Anyway, so maybe Maybe. So maybe we can agree to disagree. And I certainly know that I would with my son, who likes Christian screamo. I don't know how you mix
I don't. I'm sorry. I can't. The scream. Anyway, we can agree to disagree on that.
Yeah. Can we? Okay. No. So there's a lot of agreeing to disagreeing in the recovery community, or at least there's a lot of disagreeing. So according to usdictionary.com, what does agree to disagree mean? The idiom agree to disagree means that you and another person have different opinions on a topic and will not continue arguing or trying to change each other's mind. It is a way of acknowledging that there is no definitive or objective answer, or that the topic is too complex or controversial to reach a consensus. It is also a way of respecting the other person's perspective, even if you disagree. Now, here's an interesting little fact where this came from. Originated in the 18th century when John Wesley wrote a memorial sermon for George Whitefield. Both were influential figures in the Methodist movement, a branch of Christianity that emphasized personal faith and social justice. However, they had different views on some theological issues, such as predestination and free will. In John Wesley's sermon, he acknowledged their differences and praised their friendship and common goals. And here's what Wesley said, quote, "There are many doctrines of a less essential nature. In these we may think and let think. We may agree to disagree. But meantime, let us hold fast the essentials." John Wesley, 1770. Did not know that that's where that came from. Did you?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Very interesting, yes.
Yeah. So I want to give some examples of agreeing to disagree, and then I want to ask you, Roger, listen very closely to what is not being said. And let me see if we're on the same page here. So here's some examples. Here's just a few. We have different tastes in movies, so let's agree to disagree. Okay. Despite their contrasting taste in music, they agree to disagree. Let's not ruin our friendship over this. Let's simply agree to disagree. Even in a heated debate, they manage to agree to disagree. Colleagues with opposing work styles learn to agree to disagree for a productive partnership. Do you hear what's not being used here? Take a stab at it.
What, say that again?
There's something not being said in these examples. Let's see if you have any idea. So let me just give you the first one. We have different tastes in movies, so let's agree to disagree.
Okay. I don't know what's not being said there. That's a pretty common statement.
Yeah. So I think these are examples that are pretty surface.
Yes, I agree.
I think these are examples that are pretty easy to come to a conclusion with. Let's agree to disagree. I don't know that in today's world that it is so easy to do that. I'm not even sure we can agree to disagree on some issues, because in a way, I think when I agree to disagree with you for the sake of peace and harmony, let's still be friends. There are some issues I'm not sure we can still be friends. I don't think you always can be. I think sometimes there are some issues where I'm going to have to divorce myself from our relationship. And the reason I say that would go into, well, what is the definition of friendship? Do we always have to agree on everything? No. But if we have absolutely nothing in common other than we like what kind of hamburger joint we eat at, I don't know how we can have a healthy friendship.
Well, I agree with that. If you have nothing in common, I can't call that a friendship.
But if we have nothing in, and I don't know, I'm not sure I have the answer to this even for myself. But if we have nothing in common on the important issues, on the life and death issues of this country, of even our recovery programs, how in the world can we be buddies I don't know. I don't know that we can. I think we could be healthy acquaintances.
I think that if someone is joined together and they call each other friends, then there's a relationship there that should be able to disagree on political issues, on religious issues, and still have a healthy communication and relationship. Now, in the context of recovery, we have common, when we're acquaintances and become friends in the circle of recovery, we have common goals in mind. We have common principles that we live by. We have spiritual principles that we live by. So then the other things become opinions or personal prerogative, sure, if you will. And that we can still be friends, but it's challenging though, because if you hold strongly to facts of faith or facts of program or even facts of country and politics, it becomes difficult, I think, to then circumvent the emotions of your beliefs and have a common ground for a relationship. It's a challenge. But I find that if you have two friends that are joined together as such, then they should be able to, it's kind of the personality, principles before personality concept, where we hold to certain principles, and even though we don't agree on certain situations or issues, we should still be able to be friends.
I have a friend, a high school buddy, and he and I adamantly disagree on issues of everything, except for Monty Python. We're both huge Monty Python fans. Second City, Faulty Towers, all that stuff. The original SNL, that kind of thing. We could probably sit for hours. He's got every Monty Python videotape. Yes, I said videotape. That you could think of, right? And when Marcia and I stayed at his cabin up in Mount Shasta, and he wasn't there. He gave us the key to the cabin, and we were able to stay there. I opened this giant drawer, huge drawer underneath his television, and every Monty Python CD, DVD, everything. And I was like, I fit the mother load, right? So this was a place where we could come together and enjoy each other and talk about. But I will tell you, it is hard for me to think of him just in that when we are so divided. He literally loathes some of the people and principles that I believe in. So we don't talk about it. And that to me is weird. We can't talk about it. I don't have many, I don't think I have any, I don't have any friends that I feel that close to where we disagree that adamantly. He's the only one. The other ones are all acquaintances, and we're friendly and polite to each other, and most of them are in the 12-step fellowship. But I'm probably not going golfing with them. I'm probably not going to have coffee with them on a regular basis, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, I understand. I think I would define that more as an acquaintance than a friend. If you have no common ground except for Monty Python and Saturday Night Live, I would question whether you really have grounds for friendship.
Okay. See, and that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I would like to call him one of my close friends.
Well, you have to, so in that event, you have to have two people that agree to buy into that concept. If we have things that we cannot talk about, we should be able to enjoy life together and do other things and just agree to disagree on certain issues.
Yeah.
Now, if it's such an overwhelming position that one holds that you can't even go out and have coffee or go to dinner or lunch or go to a meeting or go to a movie or anything, then I wouldn't call that friendship.
No. And we can do all
in friendship, there's a common bond, and you learn to love one another in a certain way that you call each other friends. And outside of that, you're more acquaintances.
So I guess I'm wondering, what is that common bond? What makes a friendship move from an acquaintance, because that's usually where it starts, right? Into a friendship. What is that thing? And is it different for everybody?
For me, it's having common links in life, whether it be program, faith, sports, sort of. There's I think a wide variety of things that a friend would have common links with, where we would mutually go and enjoy one another's company in doing X. Someone a friend is someone I can share very close things personally about, and I would hope that he or she would be able to share their personal things about, and we would have that bond of wanting to love and encourage each other and pray for each other and help each other. I mean, that to me, that's what friendship is.
That's what friendship is. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, we most frequently call it brotherhood. I think that's another
We
term.
do.
So, which is like, I would call that very close friends. The bond of brotherhood, or for women, I'm assuming, not being one, I can't answer that, but I'm assuming there's a bond of sisterhood, if you will, where they are very closely related to one another for a myriad of reasons.
Within the recovery community, it is often spoken as a family.
Yes.
Yes. And we know that not always do family members agree, and sometimes they're definitely not friends. But the family aspect of it trumps the friendship. In other words, I can't stand your viewpoint on this and that. I think you're absolutely wrong. I may even think that you're immoral, But if you're getting ready to get hit by a bus, I'm not questioning any of that stuff. I'm standing in front of that bus for you.
Right.
Right.
I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
There should be no issues that drive apart family or close friends that would be a dividing point where we can't support and love and fellowship with one another, what have you.
So here's some very typical disagreements within the rooms of recovery.
Yes, let's get into these, Monty.
Yes, shall we? Number one, Bill Wilson was the main architect of the Big Book. As of recently, I got into a discussion with somebody who disagrees with that. Historically, they're incorrect. That's not my opinion. They just are. They're incorrect.
Well, Bill wrote the book. What's there to talk about?
Yeah. But this person has the opinion that all these other people actually did. And so I was speaking with a person who I respect very highly as an AA historian in his own right. And he would never claim that, but he is. And a lot of times Bill will say things in his writings and will credit other people. But basically what it came down to is Bill had an idea. He would take it before Bob, for instance, and say, what do you think? And Bob would just like, whatever, Bill, just go for it. And then he'd say, Bob and I, when Bob really didn't have anything to do with it. Because in Bill's humility, and what a lot of people don't understand is Bill's been accused of not being humble, but if you read it, you read his other literature, you find out how humble this guy really was. He would seek to give credit to other people that really had little to do with it. And so there's this opinion that there were all these other people that contributed way more than they really did to the Big Book. Certainly Bob was the architect of sponsorship, not Bill. Bob was. But there are people that disagree with that. And so can we agree to disagree? So let's hold that question until I'm done with these examples, because I've got an idea about that. Here's one that's very common. Higher power can mean anything you wish. So
not in my world.
I guess in your personal journey, that would be true. But you'd have to ask yourself, are you saying according to the literature? Or are you saying according to your opinion? Because if it's your opinion, yeah, you're right. I can't argue with your choice in that. But if you're talking about it according to the literature, that is not what it says, right?
Correct.
Roger? Yeah.
It does not say that.
So can we agree to disagree on that? We'll come back to that again, too. Recovery versus recovered. We hear that one all the time. Can you be recovered? Some would say no. Are you always in recovery? Some would say no. Alcohol is a drug. Interestingly enough, there are people that say, no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
According to the American Medical Association, it is. Mm-hmm. According to Alcoholics Anonymous, the organization, it is. Can you be addicted to alcohol versus narcotics? According to AA's literature, yes. It speaks of alcohol addiction. So therefore, you would be a drug addict if alcohol is a drug. But that can be gotten into a heated debate as well. Here's one. Nothing is an outside issue if it's part of my personal story. What do you think about that one, Raj?
I'm good with that. It's my personal story.
Therefore, it is not an outside issue.
It is not an outside. You can't make my personal story an outside issue.
Right. Bill Wilson was a Christian.
Yes, he was. That's a fact.
Yeah. There are many Christians who deny that.
Well, they don't know they don't know the facts.
They haven't done the research.
Right.
The 12 steps are secular.
Not even close.
And probably the most popular one, meeting makers make it. So the reason I asked the question, can we agree to disagree on these things? And I'm going to add to that question, without interfering with the recovery process that the program of the 12-steppers actually presents. What do you think?
Well, here's where I live today. I used to have opinions about everything, and I was always right.
Yeah.
So if you disagreed, you were wrong. But once I got into the fellowship, once I surrendered to God, once I lived by the 12 steps in the program, that changed. And I became, as our friend Dick B. used to say, a reporter of the truth. So when I would only utilize, I would more frequently utilize, we can agree to disagree on opinions, but I don't think you can agree to disagree about facts, history, and truth. Because there's if it's a fact, it's not open for discussion. If it's the truth and factual and historical, it's not open for discussion or opinion.
Right.
On that point, I'm not going to agree to disagree with you. I'm going to stand on the facts. If
Yes.
you want to discuss the facts, the truth, and the history, that's a great discussion. But I'm not going to I'm not going to agree to disagree because your opinion is different than the truth. And it's not a personal thing. Because I used to be the person who had no facts. I was the guy who had no facts, but told you I knew everything about that. And I didn't. But my self-will was so overwhelming and my insecurities that I always had to win. I always had to be right, and I was going to get to be right no matter what. And I was always wrong. First, my motive was incorrect. Second, my information wasn't factual. So when I say I'm going to stand on truth, history, and fact, that's not open for discussion. That's
Right.
like saying today is Monday at 10:39 a.m. That's a fact. You want to argue with me about 10:39 on Monday? Well, okay, but I'm not going to argue that's what time it is.
Yeah. I'll even take it a step further. This coffee cup is in my right hand. That is a fact. The fact just changed. This coffee cup is now in my left hand. So I'll go a step further and say facts can change, but truth does not.
Well, that's interesting because when I talk about facts, I'm talking about historical facts.
Right.
And
those don't change because they're
historical facts don't change.
They're truth.
Yeah.
They're truth. They're not only facts, but they're truth.
Right.
But some people in today's world would actually say, yes, I am going to open that for discussion. And what you perceive is an historical fact or truth actually isn't. That didn't happen. Case in point, the landing of man on the moon. There's a whole bunch of people that say the truth of it is that was all a hoax. There's a whole bunch of people, probably more people, that would say the truth of it is that was a fact and it really did happen. And so two people arguing about that is kind of senseless, right? Wouldn't you say?
I'm not going to have that discussion. I mean,
yeah.
Show me the data that they didn't land on the moon, and then let me read about it and let's talk about it. But
it's actually coming out with a movie about that, from what I understand too.
Well, whatever.
But yeah, whatever on that end. But what I'm saying is, it seems, and there's going to be some people that listen to this that probably aren't going to like this statement, but there's some pretty ludicrous ideas out there today that would balk at facts and truth, and do. And I don't know that we can agree to disagree with on those issues without causing major problems. If I'm going to say, okay, well, I can agree to disagree with you and just let it go. No, there are some things I'm not going to let go. And I'm going to say this, and if you differ with me, that's your right to do so. But I'm just going to come out and say it. And I've never said it on this show, but I'm getting to a point where if I don't take a stand publicly on some things, I am not going to be doing what God asked me to do. And I'm just going to say it right here and now. Abortion. I am 100% with rare occasion, and we can have a discussion what rare occasion is. But for the most part, I object to it. I think it is the taking.
I do too.
The taking of human life. It is murder. It is nothing short of murder. When it is done, specifically when it is done out of convenience sake, because you don't want to take the responsibility that to raise a child, or at the very least to offer a child up for adoption for hundreds of families who want children. It is murder. Okay, I just lost half the listening audience. I'm sorry, but that is the truth. That is not my opinion. That is the truth.
Right.
And I cannot agree to disagree with anyone on that issue and remain friends with them. I can't, because I'm not friends with murderers. Wow.
I'm standing here listening and agreeing with you.
So I think there are some things we cannot agree to disagree upon without losing our friendships.
Well, I'll say this again. If I have a close relationship with someone, however that may be defined.
Yeah.
And their personal belief is, for some reason, leans towards the women's right to choose. I don't know if I would stop being friends with them. I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know that, because I'm not sure that I have that situation that is come into in front of me.
Right.
I mean, the fact is their position is one that I completely disagree with. I don't know if I would eliminate them from my life because of that. I don't know.
Which brings the question to my mind: if I'm not willing to agree to disagree and remain their friend, maybe I have an issue there.
Maybe
so, I do. Maybe that is, and not that I will ever agree with that. But as far as remaining their friend, maybe that's something I need to work on.
Maybe so. I don't necessarily have a comment about that. Although
I don't either.
I think if you look at the life of Christ, that would be an interesting study, actually. The people that he ministered to, the people that he reached out and loved and healed and so on and so forth, they were lost. And that's who he came to save.
The most wretched of them.
The absolute most wretched. So
he did not avoid them.
And if you read Sermon on the Mount, I don't know that we could make a stance for not being friends with someone who adamantly disagree about abortion with us.
Boy, you are so right. You are so right. But I think what I'm saying is I would have a difficult time hanging out with them. That's such a big issue for me.
I understand.
You know.
But maybe, and I don't know, but maybe God has a plan that you minister to that person in the future.
You're absolutely right.
And if you don't have a relationship with them, that opportunity doesn't arise.
Yeah. I don't hate them. It's just a real hard one for me to.
I get it.
With.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't. I don't hate anybody. I hate certain behaviors.
Right.
But I don't hate anybody. You know, I went to a school that was a mixture of all sorts of nationalities. And when the suggestion that I was prejudiced came up, which it never really came up until the last 20 years in my life, I was shocked. I was like, I don't have this issue. I just never did. I had friends. It was a non-issue. No one even discussed it. It just wasn't. I had Latino friends. I had black friends. I had Portuguese friends. We didn't have anything to agree to disagree on because we were kids. Right. It just wasn't a thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can. I don't think we can continue with this show without bringing up the elephant in the room, so to speak. I'm at a loss for words for our country's behavior as of the last several days. To tell you the truth, I'm stunned, but not surprised, if that makes sense, at the assassination attempt of our former president. You know, somebody posted on Facebook, or there was more than one post. Oh, dang, they missed.
Yeah, I find that absolutely disgusting.
How do you agree to disagree with somebody like that?
Wait, that's not a point of discussion for me. That isn't
yeah.
The agree to disagree on points like that it's not germane to the discussion. Period.
Yeah, we're not even going to enter into that because that's
not a discussion.
So I'm not even going to have
philosophical issues are one thing, moral issues are one thing, but when you're talking about the life of a former president, regardless of who it is, that's not. I'm not going to agree to disagree that.
I would feel the same way if it had been Biden.
Of course.
It wouldn't matter to me.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's not a political issue for me. It's the fact that it's a moral issue, respecting life.
Right.
And then the poor families, with the people that are in critical condition, and
the one that
the gentleman who lost his life, the firefighter. I just, and all the discussion around it. I know it's necessary. I know, but it's just like. So I was thinking, you know, agreeing to disagree on issues when it comes to the point where somebody is making those drastic of moves? Are we talking about mental issues, or what are we talking about? Are we things that have contributed to somebody making that leap to go over the edge like that? Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I guess I'm really sad.
Me too.
I'm really sad. But like you, it doesn't change the fact that I'm really blessed.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. I am really blessed. I am in a good mood. I have so many reasons to rejoice.
Amen.
I love the country that we live in.
Yes, me too.
I love our freedoms. I love the fact that we can agree to disagree. I saw an old years ago. I watched an episode of The Waltons, and it shook me. They were some people had come into town and were spreading literature around on communism, and it really shook the community, right? Particularly the pastor of the little church. And he organized a book burning. And so all these people are around, they were throwing these books on communism and stuff into the fire, along with other books as well. And people were cheering, and the camera went down and focused on a book, and the pastor leaned down and picked it up and brushed the ashes off. You know what it said on it? Holy Bible.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And the point that they were trying to make was, you take freedom of speech away, you're losing yours too. And so on the freedom of speech thing, I have to agree to disagree. You have every right to voice your opinion. You have every right to share what you believe are facts or truth, and so do I.
Mm-hmm.
Within the recovery community, though, I think, like in a 12-step meeting, I don't think it belongs there. Unless you're really, I'm with Chris S., unless you're really, really, really good friends with me, you're probably not going to know, at least within those meetings, you're not going to probably know what my leanings are towards things, because it's not going to be something that I'm going to really discuss. I want to be there to help the alcoholic who still suffers, or the addict who still suffers. A lot of these opinions and topics, they didn't come up when we were working with the Salvation Army. Did you hear them? I didn't. What I heard was people wanting to help people recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. That's what I heard.
Right.
So I don't think there's a place for it in the rooms of the 12 steps. What do you think?
Well, since I met Dick B, and since he had a huge impact on my recovery,
yeah,
I've taken on a term that he used, and that's a reporter of the truth. So when I share in a meeting, if it's a big book study, or if it's a topic study, or whatever it might be, if it's based on daily reflections, or it's 24 hours a day, whatever the meeting sort of has chosen, either officially or unofficially, as a topic of discussion, I will quote the big book as it applies to my personal story and as it applies to my life today. And that should never interfere with being available to help anybody who's still suffering.
Amen.
They should go hand in hand. And it took me probably more than 15 years in the program to learn how to be an attraction and not a promotion. Because I was, even though I had done the 12 steps and knew about self-will, run right, and all that, it was still my nature, and I presented myself self-promoting. And I was a constitutional liar my whole life, so that ended. But I still had a tendency to frame my comments either directly or indirectly as a self-promotion, and that makes me sick today.
Yeah.
So I stand on the book, which is our textbook. I stand on the Bible, which was what formulated our textbook, AA. And I stand on that truth and love, and I stand on what Dr. Bob used to use as 1 Corinthians 13, which no matter how wonderful and all the stuff you've done, if you have not love, you have nothing. So I stand on those principles because that's my core belief system. That's who I am spiritually and mentally and emotionally. And so when I share, that's what I share about. And I don't have to get into a discussion or an argument in the meeting. I stand on what has happened to me, because it says we're supposed to share about our experience, strength, and hope, which is based on reporting how was it, what happened, and how is it today.
Yep.
That's what I incorporate in any time I share in a meeting, and I stand on those principles. So that's not open for me. It can generate a discussion outside the meeting, but my position won't change.
Yeah. You know, I think most of us, whether Republican, Democrat, Independent, nothing, the most radical leanings of either way and everything in between, God, no God, weird God, strange God, pick your poison. 99.9% of us, I believe, if we were walking down the street and somebody was drowning, we didn't stop and scream at him, "Hey, who did you vote for?" before we jump in to save them.
Right.
Right? We just jump in and save them.
Right.
And I hope that we can all rethink that, especially now. So it's really interesting. Well, before I go to the closing song here, which is kind of a trip how this happened, any closing thoughts from you, Roger, on whether we can agree to disagree?
Well, that sounds like a simple question or comment, but I think it's more complex than just we can agree to disagree. If it's just an acquaintance or just a person you've just met, that's sort of okay. That's part of our discussion. But if it's a friend, and a friendship would hopefully go much deeper than an argument.
Yeah.
I think that that's something that we can work on together if we're really friends and we care about each other. I don't have a problem agreeing to disagree, but when it's factual, when it's history, and when it's truth, I'm going to stand on that. I'm going to stand on the truth. And if the person doesn't like the truth, that's okay. Well, that's fine. I don't know that the comment I would use is we can agree to disagree. I don't think I would say that.
Right.
I think I would say you're certainly entitled to your opinion, but here are my facts, my truth, and this is what I know. This is what I know to be true. So that's where I'm at. And I would I'm not going to the sort of agree to disagree things in some respects like that is kind of a cop-out.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to just
I
because
agree
you
to
don't.
Agree.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, but I don't think it's as simple as that term. That's a little more complicated, I think, discussion. But I think we've covered it pretty well.
I think some people will say, well, let's just agree to disagree because they're uncomfortable with the direction the conversation's going.
Right.
And they just don't want to do it anymore.
And if you're friends, you'd say, why are you so uncomfortable with this? I mean, let's talk about why this upsets you so much.
Right.
Because it's not just a mental exercise. There's something going on here.
So I had a closing song for today, and then I got an email from Take 12 Recovery Radio music contributor Mike O'Brien. And we've played several of his songs here and had him on the show. He's a recovery recording artist in his own right, and as well as other music. And he had a brand new song out, and called "Strange Times." And this is the email he sent me. He said, "Hey, Monty." Now, he knew nothing about what this show was going to be about today. He said, "New song about how I see what's happening in our country right now. Inspired by an ex-friend of mine who has dissed me because we're not on the same page politically. We can't even agree to disagree anymore. I'm on lead vocals and all acoustic and 12-string guitars, Brian Pothier and Kelly Fitzgerald on the big chorus background vocals, Brian on bass, programming, and electric guitar. I wasn't sure about this one when I wrote it, but Brian convinced me it needed to be said and heard. So there it is. God bless America and praise God, Mike. And so I listened to it. I went, okay, this is the song for this show. So Mike, thank you so much. You can get more of his music at reverbnation.com/Mike O'Brien. And so we're going to close out with this. I love God's timing and how he works things. So however you feel about this song, if you agree to disagree, that's fine. But it's the song we're going to use. So here's Mike O'Brien with Strange Times.
Something on my mind. Wanna tell you what it is, but I better watch what I say. Don't wanna cross your line. Don't want you thinking of me in a negative way. Maybe it's better if I give it all up. Maybe it's better if I just don't talk to you. Hold it inside and bottle it up. Keep it to myself, don't stir the pot. So I can be friends with you. I wanna tell you what I think. Better check with my advisors before I do. Don't wanna set you off. Don't want you blowing up in my point of view. Maybe it's better if I give it all up. Maybe it's better if I just don't talk to you. Hold it inside and bottle it up. Keep it to myself, don't stir the pot. So I can be friends with you. These are strange times we're living in. These are strange times we're living in. These are strange times. Something that I know. Can I bear my soul without making waves? Can we ever be free? Find the common ground in the home of the brave. Maybe it's better if I give it all up. Maybe it's better if I just don't talk to you. Hold it inside and bottle it up. Keep it to myself, don't stir the pot. So I can be friends with you. So I can be friends with you. Can we ever be friends? These are strange times we're living in. These are strange times we're living in. These are strange. These are strange times.
Mike O'Brien. For more of his music, visit reverbnation.com/Mike O'Brien. Well, if some of you are still with us and still tuning in to Take 12 Recovery Radio, I appreciate it very much. If we've lost some of you, well, you're probably not even hearing me talk right now. So who knows, right? Although everybody knows that I am overly opinionated by now. If you haven't figured that out, well, you haven't been listening very closely. Roger, thank you for a great show.
Oh, my pleasure. It's always a blessing to be on with you and the family at Take 12 Radio.
All righty. Until our next broadcast, my friends, this is the Monty'man along with Roger McDermott and the rest of the Take 12 Recovery Radio family, and we are wishing God's perfect serenity for each and every one of you.
This has been a broadcast of Take 12 Recovery Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty, 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 kitty.
This has been a Chicken and a Pig production.